Crime Stack. Jeff Nadu Sitdown. Part 2.
I mean, tough to me is, like, you talk about Sonny Black, right? Like, Sonny Black, when he was killed, he was pushed down the steps in a basement.
Please subscribe.
He fell over, and they pulled a gun out, and the gun jammed. He didn't say, please don't kill me. He said, do it right this time. Figure it out, you idiot. And he took it like a man. I mean, Gotti is the most fascinating mobster, at least in modern times. But when we look at, and he's definitely the most popular, but when we look at like actual, what did he do? He's pretty underwhelming, quite honestly. He didn't do anything transcendent. He did a lot of things that I think hurt the family, because I think he set them back pretty far with his brother and his son. But he doesn't hold a candle to, probably 20 different people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is with Gotti, and Sammy had once, in his, I can't remember where it's from, or I think it was in the Peter Moss book, where he talks about how they were at, what was the club? Really big club in New York. I can't remember. Was it? Whatever. They were at a big club, and Gotti was like, Sammy's like, you want me to get rid of these guys for you? And he's like, that's my public. They're my people. They're my fans. Yeah. And he's like, what do you mean fans? We're Cosa Nostra. We don't have fans. We hug the shadows.
There's that scene in the film Gotti that
please subscribe,
where like those two people come up to him and they're like, Mr. Gotti, no one would ever say, we met you, and yeah, he's a bottle of champagne, buy him a bottle, And it seemed like, I mean, that whole video where like he like gives a guy like $50, like that black guy, in the street, like public loved him. But I don't think it was, I don't think he's as flashy as people say he was. I mean, they put the cameras in all those guys' face,
right?
But, he was very talkative. He would call people and say, I'm going to blow your house up. I'm going to kill you if you don't come here tomorrow. Like, he was very confrontational, and he didn't really give it. But I think he's kind of the old throwback in the sense of like, he was a gangster in the end. Like, he had, and I think that's what sets apart the mob today, different than and really any organized crime from the old days. When you would join the mob in the 50s or 60s, there was only one way out: death. You weren't going to go and ride off into the sunset. You were going to face a bullet. And that's why, like, when we look at the cartel in Mexico, we look at the Italian Mafia, right? The Ndrangheta, the Gomorrah, and all those. I mean, there are kids that idolize that, right? They have no problem, 17, 18 years old. That's my end. That's about all I'm going to have on this planet. And I will die for this. There's not a lot of people like that. And that's why, like, I've always related the mafia or organized crime to, if you look into like terrorists, when you look at like ISIS, it's really hard to beat a group that will die for it. Truly. Like, they'll do what they have to do for their cause. And that's why it's hard to beat people like that. I mean, and the mafia, people like Gotti, you could talk all you want, but in the end, he was a stone cold G. He took his life sentence and said, well, that's that, And that was all it was.
That's interesting. Yeah, because he, in the sense that what I was trying to say about the feds will get you if they want, especially the feds. They have like a 99.9% conviction rate. They will get you whether they have to. I mean, Paul Castellano, I remember one time, had pulled the FBI agents in and said, hey guys, let's come in and have some coffee and cookies. Just don't set me up. Don't set me up. Do me that favor. As if they don't really have the power. But, the thing is, but you had made a point, and that's because it's like the idea is like Carlo Gambino, when you talked about back in the day, you die by a bullet, there's three ways. You die by a bullet, you become a snitch, or you die in jail. But there's people like Carlo Gambino that died.
You could die in bed too.
Yeah, which is
what I'm saying is you're never going to betray your life. Right.
Well, that's the thing. Well, there's several things. That's you're, short of a guy, Joe Valachi, who is, tight with Vito Genvese, you're never going to betray the life. And, but the thing is, you're going to hug the shadows and you're going to keep your mouth shut and you're not going to be a movie star. But so Gotti, in that sense, defied that a little bit, I think, because he was a little flashier, which, I think he was. But it was ultimately a stand-up guy, which is one of the main things. A stand-up guy died in prison, and that's the Sonny. That's why I think Gotti like said many times. Ed Mcdonald had said like, you know, Gotti had said like so many different ways on Wiretaps. Sonny Franzese, he's a tough guy, because that's the kind of cloth they're cut from, you know, and that's that guy. Whereas nowadays it's a little bit different.
I mean, tough to me is like you talk about Sonny Black, right? Like Sonny Black, when he was killed, he was pushed down the steps in a basement. He fell over, and they pulled a gun out, and the gun jammed. He didn't say, "Please don't kill me." He said, "You know, do it right this time. You know, figure it out, you idiot." And he took it like a man, you know. And I listen. It's a macabre way of thinking, but you have to be a bit. You have to find that a bit. I don't know, kind of respectable, isn't it? I mean, he could have acted like a bitch and said, "Oh no, don't kill me. Nah, this was the end, man. You fucked up." You know, Sammy Gravano talked about that.
Johnny Keys.
When they killed Johnny Keys, he talked about how, you know, he pretty much dug his own grave. And he's just like, "Hey, can you just do one thing for me?" You know, and
have a made guy do it.
Yeah, like I find that like weirdly honorable, and that's why like The Sopranos is a great television show. I mean, there's a lot of great TV shows, but if you like the Mafia, I think you have to watch Gomorrah. That's one of the shows that I rave about. I think it's the greatest probably piece of entertainment I've ever seen because it really illustrates what that world is. It's not fun. It's not funny. It's not sexy. It's not cute. It is depraved, and it is evil, and it is you kill your family and your friends, and when the gun comes and it's put in your face, you know, do what you got to do. You know, that's something that you don't have much in the mob anymore. And better yet, you don't have any killers really left in the mob, right? There's a couple of guys around that I think when push comes to shove, you know, they'll stick an ice pick in your neck, but those people now are in different organized crime. They're not mafia people.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a code. Like it's what you're talking about. Is you're talking about you live by a code, a real code, you know, and it's since you're a kid, you did it. And the people who really live by that code die by that code. And that's why you get guys like, you know, do it right. You know, just hit me. Just make sure a made guy hits me, you know, or whatever. And it's almost like it's kind of, I mean, I don't want to like mix metaphors, but it's like almost like, you know, the way like a knight in the, you know, medieval times would, you know, be honorable to the end, you know?
I mean, you go, like I said, you go to Naples, you know, into some of those neighborhoods. I mean, a lot of them kids don't expect to live past the age of 20. And if you do, you're a boss. Like you're the guy, you know, it's not, and that's sad to me, you know, and I think it's like that in this country too, in certain places, but you know, I don't know. It's a fascinating world, you know, it's, and that's why I do this show and what I do, because I'm just fascinated by the stories. I mean, one of the reasons I created my show was, you're kind of on the same thought of like, what is so powerful about that oath, that life, right?
Jeff Nadu Sitdown Part 3 coming soon. Links to the other parts of the Jeff Nadu interview in the description, comments, and on the end screen. Crime Stack. Don't forget to subscribe to the Crime Stack channels, like the videos, and share with your friends on social media. We here at Crime Stack appreciate you. Check out these videos now.